7 common workout mistakes to avoid. Don't do this.
Don't you want to look good naked?
If your goal is to change your body composition, build muscle, look good, make sure that you're not making these 7 mistakes. Mistake number 1. When we're training to change our body composition, we need to make sure we're focused on training to build muscle. And when we're training to build muscle, we need to make sure that we're putting those muscle tissues under enough tension and spending time in the hard positions. For an RDL, for example, when you're coming down in that movement, pause at the bottom for a second. Make sure that you're getting that stretch and you're feeling that tension in your glutes and your hamstrings before you come up. Or if you're doing a squat, for example, the hardest position is at the bottom. So if your goal is to build muscle with your squat, don't bounce out of the bottom. Make sure that you're creating tension throughout the entire movement. Number 2 is not getting close enough to failure with your exercises. In order to build muscle, we need to make sure that we're getting close enough to failure to stimulate that muscle growth and that we're hitting those effective reps. So just make sure that you are training close enough to failure and you're putting enough effort in to get that muscle stimulus. Mistake number 3 is doing random exercises that you see on TikTok or Instagram and having no structure to your training. If we want to build muscle, if we want to change our body composition, you have to make sure you're focused on progressing over time, progressive overload, and that's going to come from making sure that you're following a structured, smart program that you can adapt to and progress over the long term. Not just doing random shit that you see on Instagram or TikTok that looks fun. You need to follow a smart program. Mistake number 4 is thinking that you need to incorporate certain exercises that might not fit well with your structure or allow you to get the most output in the target muscle that you're trying to train. So for example, a lot of people think they have to do barbell back squats no matter what, or they have to deadlift with a barbell no matter what. But in reality, if your goal is to change your body composition, which comes from building muscle, we need to focus on choosing exercises that work for you and that allow you to get close to failure for that muscle tissue that is being targeted. So for example, if a barbell back squat is not a movement that works for you or you feel good with, you don't have to do it. Choose a different exercise. Choose something that makes sense for you. Number 5 is piggybacking off number 4. Not thinking about stability within your movements. So again, if you're looking to get the most out of your training and get the most tension within that muscle fiber as possible for them to grow, you need to make sure that you're choosing movements that you don't have other limiting factors. So we need to make sure that we're creating movements that internal stability is not something that we have to rely on. And when I say internal stability, I mean that, for example, that barbell back squat I just mentioned, that is a movement that is very complex. It requires a lot of coordination, a lot of stability, versus a hack squat, for example, where you're in a machine or you're doing a split squat where you have a hand support. Those are gonna add a little bit more external stability so that you can really focus on the goal at hand. So again, if your goal is to, for example, build your quads and you're using a barbell back squat, but other things are starting to give out before your quads give out, that might not be the best movement to choose for your quads. Maybe you choose a quad bias split squat, or maybe you choose a machine hack squat. Again, choose the right exercise for the goal at hand. Number 6 is just thinking about lifting as heavy as possible to get from point A to point B. That's gonna take away from the main goal. That's gonna cause you to incorporate more momentum or to lift heavy weights for your ego. That's not the goal. Focus on the goal of creating as much tension within the muscle tissue as possible and not just getting something from point A to point B. Last but not least, number 7, I should have put this one first, but doing a lot of exercise classes like CrossFit, Orange Theory, F45, Barry's Boot Camp, all of those classes, those aren't bad. They're not bad or wrong, or you shouldn't be doing them. But if your main goal is to build muscle and to change your body composition in the most efficient way possible, it probably makes sense to focus on hypertrophy style training and not burning yourself out doing tons of high intensity training classes, things where the limiting factor is not the muscle tissue, but it's your fatigue, it's your recovery. We need to pay attention to what the goal is, and that is to build as much muscle as possible and to not burn out and forget about the recovery side of things. So those are the top 7 mistakes that I've personally made in the past and that I see with a lot of the clients that I work with in my coaching practice. Again, if you want to build muscle, change your body composition, look your best, focus on the goal at hand, hypertrophy training, and being as efficient as possible with that. Women, we believe